How you doing, everybody? Hi, Tony and Rick at Talking Watches. Hi, Donald and Junior and Joseph. Hey, the rancher. Okie doke. Hey, Clyde, what are you about? Okie doke. Well, listen. This morning I sort of muffed it. Um, what happened is that one of my old channels got mixed up with my new one, so sorry about that. Um, Today, what I wanted to do, I wanted I had asked I don't know if anybody did this or not, but when we talk about our next watch, we're talking about a series of watches, and so when we look at how a watch became our next watch, if that happens enough times, we have a collection. I I haven't been able to find the pattern that I'm sort of asking everybody else to find. Let me give you three examples that I have here. Uh, a lot of you know these already because when I had my collection review. Hi, Dominic, and hey, Air Toad, how you doing? Poor guy. Hi. Um, when I got this watch, this was one I would always wanted a Christian Vanderclaw. And the problem was they're not very affordable, but they had some of these available, and their prices sort of range between about $5,000 and north of that somewhat. And the more I found out about this, I found out, well, first of all, the only part of it that was Christian Vanderclaw was the moon phase. And so basically, what he did, he put the moon phase on top of what at one time had been a Soprod A10, and that was what I thought I got. Well, it turned out that instead of a Soprod A10, it was an ETA 2892 A2. Well, at first I was a little miffed at it, but then I realized, that it, it was like the price and the workmanship and everything else, in addition to just the movement, was really good. And the fact that I traded for it with a watch that I had resented for years, it's sort of like that's how it became my next watch. Now, did I plan that? And the answer is no. Was it a watch I wanted? Yeah, and one I knew, and so it was sort of like at some point in time, you sort of know the kinds of stuff that you'd like to have, but for one reason or the other, you don't get it. Uh, you know, it's either the watch or what a divorce lawyer is going to cost you. These kinds of things you have to come into. Um, so hey, Logan Hall and Oil Money, how you guys doing? I'm glad to see you guys here. Now, and so this one was a trade with a good friend, and so that's that. I it's one of the, in fact, I think it may be the only watch I traded one watch for another that wasn't a trade-in. Now this one, another one. This I got from an individual. I didn't know this individual from Adams on Ox. I think it was on eBay, and I sort of watched this thing. This is the one that took me a year, and there was something about this watch that I liked. Parmigiani, I like Parmigiani a lot. I like the gold rotor a lot. I just like this watch. That's all I can say. And it turned out to be a really wonderful one. Uh, but like I said, it took about a year to negotiate it, and I had it this earlier this year. It went to the watch doctor, and it came back like is like a new watch. So that was like the buying of this watch. I again, it's the kind of watch that I like, but it was sort of more in that category. Now, this latest one, when we talk about this, I've told you about this one before too, so I don't want to bore everybody, so I'll keep it brief. This is my Urban Jurgensen, and this was after I there's this Patek Philippe I'd always wanted, and so I was negotiating away on that Patek Philippe with two of my watches that I was going to trade in as part of it, and then the rest of it would be cash. And time we got finished talking about it, it was clear to both of us that we'd both be better off if I just sold them. And so when that happened, then I saw this other watch that I really had wanted for a long time, and ended up with this weird negotiation with through Chrono 24. Chrono 24 has done a lot of weird stuff more recently, and some of it's really hurt them. First of all, they adding sales tax. Well, adding sales tax isn't so bad. What they do is that they add sale tax plus a premium, and I guess they decide, well, they deserve a certain amount for collecting the sales tax and delivering it. I'm not sure, but to make a long story short, they queered the deal because I have a, for a good reason, I have a limit on my credit card that I use for buying watches. And I can't go above that limit, and it sort of saves me from myself. But the watch that I had wanted was way below that limit. But by the time they added all this other stuff to it, it was above the limit. And I told the watch dealer that. I even told Chrono 24. I said, "Look, you guys, I'll pay the everything on it. So give me a break on the price because I'm gonna. It had a gator strap on it, and I couldn't. It was overseas, so I couldn't deal with that. And so it was one of those kinds of things that happened, and so I was licking my wounds, so to speak, after that thing fell through, because I mean we were off. We couldn't have been off more than $100 or so. It was really one of those crazy deals. So finally, I just figured, it's just not going to happen. It was kismet. It was meant not to happen. And so here is a watch that I never expected to be my next watch because they're so blasted expensive. Just crazy expensive. But then I found that Federico had, he originally had 10 watches from Urban Jurgensen that were shop worn. And so he made a deal with Urban Jurgensen, the manufacturer. He says, "Look, will you sell these watches for us? And here's the amount you can sell them for." And, and that was that. So anyway, so that's how I ended up with it. So when we're talking about the next watch, none of these three watches were like in the plan to get the next watch. The next watch was really that Patek Philippe. But during that time, I somehow sort of re-registered the fact that the one that I wanted had silicon balance wheel and balance spring, and I just didn't want that. No, I'm not saying they're awful or anything. I'm just saying that's not what I want. They're metalloids. I prefer transition metals. Okay, so don't send me the URL for your periodic table of elements. I know it very well. So this is the kind of stuff that goes into it. So let's take a look and see what you guys have. Can we get Bill a pointy red hat and start calling him the watch gnome? I'll just borrow yours, Clyde. Hi, Marco. How you doing, man? Oh, God. DGB. Evening from all morning, UK. What did something bad happen? Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Prince Philip died. So, yeah. Condolences on that. Okay. Yes. Parmigiani Fleurier Culpa. Forbin. Hey, Forbin. Urban Jurgensen Sons Moisturizers. Jesus. God, I tell you, it's always fun to have an intellectual group Hey, Caliber 3135. What happened to your channel? Yeah, yeah. Hey, oil money. Uh, just wasn't enjoying it anymore. Videos are set to unlisted, still contemplating deleting them. Hmm. Okay. Well, you're always welcome here, Clyde. You know that. Hey, Foreman, what's up? Bill, credit card limit is determined by the by the reach of the frying pan. That's true. That's very true. Uh, hey, Sir. I almost said Fish. It's Sir Frisch. Hi, Sir Frisch. How you doing, man? Geezer, I don't know what watch would be. APX Marvel. Hey, there you go. Get a Marvel. It might be really cool. This is something too that I think at some point, I don't know. I sort of drew my so-called line in the sand with silicon. Not It's not a line that everybody should draw. It's just my line. Okay, you can draw any line you want to. And you can have quartz watches, and you can collect uh, Casio. What are they called? Those watches, Crash or something like that. Okay, I know my. Okay, let's see. 100% agree. I was a big fan of Chrono. Now they're killing it for me. This can't be good for the boutiques nor consumers. Nobody wins there. I know. The thing of it is that they don't win either because, I think they got a little too greedy. There's, you know, I have, one of my sons lives in Oregon, and I was going to send him something. In fact, I think I did, and then they had a tax. Oregon has no sales tax. Now, that wasn't through Chrono 24, but it was this other one that automatically added tax. How can they add tax when they don't have them? So, well, it's a way to raise some income. Hey, Rick on watches. For me, it's very random, but often I'm first drawn to a watch by the aesthetic of the dial. Beautiful dial will definitely catch my eye, but that's not the only rationale. Yeah. Um, of all of my watches, the one that got me by the dial was my 21, my Vacheron Content 10 Easter Reeks American 1921. That to me was mainly dial. Turns out though that it was all I knew at the time I got it. It was the first watch that they used what is it, 4040? Oh boy, yeah, it's a 4044, something like that. The movement that they used. Hey Phil, how you doing, man? Um, Silicone's called Silver Region. Hey, Martin Rodriguez. I'm sorry about that, man. Moritz Grossman is great. Yeah, I like Moritz Grossman too. That's a really interesting story about how Christine Hutter got the name and everything, and she comes from a family of watchmakers. That I think is a really interesting story. Hi, Stephen. How you doing, man? Hey, Robert. Oh, how's the Czech Republic? I was there years ago. I love the Czech Republic. Uh, both took a trip out to Terezin, which was sort of a scary story, but interesting, as well as, of course, I love Prague, and I don't know how many times I went to the Mucha Museum and went up to the castle and stuff. Boy, I tell you, if you ever get a chance to go to the Czech Republic, um, great place. Hi, Jacob. How you doing? G-Shocks. That's what I was trying to think of, Rancher. Thanks. Uh, I have never had any problems with Chrono 24. I have only been charged local tax and shipping fees for overseas purchases. Yeah, well, that's you know, um, I I was charged. Those are the taxes that they had, but the taxes here, sales tax, I think is 6.4%, and they were charging me 7.75%. And that just knocked it up. When you're dealing with watches as expensive as the ones we are, a few percentage points can really rock the boat. Um, I've always liked, Chrono 24 has been really good to me in other ways too. So I'm not saying that they're awful. I'm just saying that they need to sort of look at some of their policies. You know, sometimes if you get too greedy, you end up with nothing. And that action we had, they got nothing. I drew my line too. I want silicon in my watches, not my women. Silicon, not silicone, you horny dog. Let me see. Stephen Grassi, I just bought my Grail watch, Timex Bank Street on Amazon. Does Amazon, usually what I found, Stephen, on Amazon, I found their prices to be fairly expensive. Every now and then I saw one that was pretty good, but for the most part, I don't even look there. But if you got a good deal on that, that's cool. Have you seen Gronfield Brothers watches in person? Yeah, I have, and I want one. They were, oh gee, I forgot who it was. A bunch of guys were buying the. God, it must have been. It's so hard to figure years. I used to go to New York on a fairly, regular basis, maybe once a month, to New York City, and I go to Cellini's, and they were at Cellini's, and I think, trying to remember, it could have been during the when they have the Watch Time show in October. I didn't have it this last year, but yeah. Hi, Rick's Rolex. Oh, Rolex. I get it. What do you think about the new VC 1921 platinum release? How is that Rolex? How is that different from their earlier 1901 platinum one? The sort of the blue one. It's got a lot of blue in it. By and large, I like it, but it's like I I don't get watches that I don't like if I can. I can't think of a watch that I got and regretted it that I still have anyway. Prague is the one to visit because of the strange clock. Yeah. Another place who's got a really incredible clock is Copenhagen. That's a neat place. Hi, Crappy. Baseball's been very good to you. Baseball. Now, does that mean your baseball card collection, or does that mean something else? Hey, Dominic, could be bugs in the system. Okay, let me see. Where is that? Caliber 3135. I own a Gronfield 1941 Remontois with Car V dial. Amazing piece. That's the one. Yeah, Rick, that was the one that I wanted very much. But they all sold out, and plus the fact I didn't have $50,000 at the time. Looking to build my collection, starting with a solid everyday office watch under 5K, then maybe a GMT chronograph field. Tony, I tell you, there are a lot of watches that will meet that criteria. And that's another thing, too, is that, let's face it, our next watch depends on whatever resources we have at a given time. Hey, Andrew, I'm a happy Chrono 24. I don't spend the kind of bucks you do. Like, oh. By the way, glad you're safe. Me too. Jacob and Company, Estrama are extremely beautiful and interesting. Have you seen any? I have. Hi, Mr. Valju. What's your opinion of Valflurier watch movements they make for Panerai? I was looking at a submersible in carbon fiber. I didn't know that Valflurier made those. I don't think. Wait a minute, Valflurier. You mean Vaucheur, Mr. Valju? Buffalo Bucket. Hi. Silicone rubber straps are destroyed by insect repellents and DEET. I ruined 2 pair and a set of sunglasses before I figured that out. Oh, that is interesting. Yeah, so it spoils the day for ticks, mosquitoes, and some other things too. Install a 1410 by Clockmaster. Okay. What'd you install it in? And what is it? Sir Frisch? See, I've seen the clock in Prague. Also, Oxford, UK has a very old clock with works. Um, I'm not familiar with that Oxford one. I've been to Oxford a couple times, I think, but I spent a lot of time at Cambridge. I lived there for a term, and I don't know if they have any clocks there that are, I mean, really spectacular ones. Let's see. Joseph. Uh, Nepheron, good afternoon. Good afternoon to you too. Come to Prague before the communists take over again. Okay, I'll remember that. I got there's some Czech watches I want. Prime, is that right? Something like that. There's some really interesting Czech watches. Uh, when I was younger, this is a long time ago. I used to get these Czech made enlargers for doing, the old photography with the wet drips and all of that other kind of stuff. And they had good optics in their enlargers. How about a 2-year wait now? Any watch from Groenfeld? They may be. The thing is that with watches like Groenfeld and with Marco Lang and some of the other ones, you can't really rush them. I mean, you've got these two guys who are brothers. They come from a family of watchmakers at that quality and so forth. You just can't rush it. So I'm not surprised there's a waiting list. Look at Roger Smith. That goes on for years. Hi, Robert. What do you know about the caliber of the Cartier tank? Uh, Louis, Cartier tank, the manual winding. I don't know anything about that one, Robert. Apparently, Val Fleurier is making. Oh, Val Fleurier. Okay, now I know what you're talking about. I was thinking of Vaucher. I'm sorry. Yeah, Val Fleurier is making movements for LMS for High and Panerai. Yes, that makes sense because they're all owned by Richemont, and Richemont owns Val Fleurier. Hi, Marco. Every man needs a steel sports Rolex when they're adding one to their collection. Okay, I'll make a note of that. The thing is that I agree they should have one of those, and they should have a Harboring 2. And also, I think, let me see what else. Oh, yeah. For a diver, they should get a Easy Diver by Robert Dubois. Okay. Are you happy with your UJ purchase? Any regrets? No, no regrets at all. The only regret I have is this. Federico has 3 of these left. He has one of these, and then he has another one that I like. And then he has a third one that cost about I'd say about $5,000 more than this one did. And it has a P8 movement. That was the one I'd really like to have, the one that Derek Pratt designed. Well, I mean, basically, the P4 is the same Derek Pratt design, except it doesn't have the detent escapement. And I think there was one other feature that was either added to the P4 or taken away from the P8 that makes the P4 and the P8 different. This thing is I just love this watch. It's just a wonderful watch. I like the observatory hands with the big, I don't know if you can see that or not. It's just a really super nice watch, very well made. I'm going to be doing a video. I think I'll have it this coming week. There's one that Urban Jurgensen has called the Alfred. And the Alfred is a really good buy. Um, all of the other ones they had were, north of $20,000 and $30,000. That's how come I can even think about it. The Alfred in both 42 and 40 millimeters is, I think, around 15, 16, something like that. They're not cheap, but they're a lot less expensive than the ones that are listed in the 30,000s. Okay, Logan, let's see. Okay, I saw your Instagram post from Roger Smith the other day. I believe he said he'll only be able to produce 88 more timepieces for the balance of his career. Wow. Okay. Hairsprings made of silicon would be okay for me as long as the frequencies stays within 2 to 4 hertz. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure that I guess they could make a 2.5 hertz hairspring out of silicon. I don't know if anyone's done that or not. Let's see. I enjoyed State of the Collection. Glad you liked it. Your collection become more refined. I tell you, the only time you really get to do a real look at your collection is when you stop. At least for me, is when you stop and you have to think about everything I tell. And not too long from now, I think next month. I don't know if any of you guys go to the Punters. They're a fun group, and they're going to do a review of it. So that'll be interesting to see. I I used to do a lot of reviews. People have been sending in reviews much anymore. I think one of the problems, if you have a review you want reviewed, hold up a second because I just got all of my email changed and everything messed up. So I'll have to get that straightened out if someone wants a collection review. Konstantin Chaikin, he's a very interesting watchmaker. I'll tell you something that is sort of an interesting path where you can find some very good deals. And this may be my next watch, is going through the AHCI, the Independent Watchmakers, that was started by Vincent Calabrese and Sven Anderson. And, it has all of the top watchmakers in it. And that one is sort of, this has been one that I've been following a lot. And I think, these guys are really good. And so if I can find something I can afford, that's something to jump on. I, I, I really think the important thing for me anyway is to focus on the watchmaker. Now, this is why I like the 6498, 6497. There you have a slow ticking one that went 2.5 hertz, and it's big. It's got a nice, good size balance wheel on it. And then you look at Kerry Voot and Lana, and has the same frequency and has these giant balance wheels. And so what you have is that you can get it to sew with a 6498 in it for about $400 at Joma's shop. And you have certain things that are like the top watchmakers. So by knowing what they have, you can say, well, this is what I can afford, and end up with a pretty cool watch. Smitty is only 51. Is he retiring early? I don't know. Is that I think certain parts of watchmaking are very tedious, especially if you do it the way Roger Smith does. You start with a golden rod, and then you make the move, the case, and then you go on from there. I don't know. I think a lot of people say, "Oh boy, I want to be a watchmaker," and I don't know what the job is like once you get into it. Now, being a pretentious watchmaker is a lot of fun because, you know, I think those of us who belong to pretentious watchmakers realize, you know, what we're doing is that we're trying to find cases and movements and so on and so forth to go together. But, you know, we're getting a little better at it. And if we can, you know, I think it's next October, we're going to be making, if we can make that deal with Akinor, man, I tell you, that sort of takes it to a whole other level. And it's something that would be affordable on this planet. So, thoughts on the new AP Marvel watch? You know, I did that video on that geezer on the great scandal. Um, I don't know. I think the Audemars Piguet that I really like is the plain vanilla jumbo. What do they call it? The oh, Royal Oak. Just plain vanilla steel Royal Oak. That is my favorite AP. But you know, a lot of their jewels, um, Jules Audemars, yeah, the Jules Audemars line of watches. They got some. That to me is a lot of more other watches I like too. Are you still a Millenary fan? Yeah, Millenary too. Millenary is a lot of stuff is all over the map on Millenary, but to me, that's a really good buy. If you can find a Millenary that you like, and that's always a caveat, no matter what the watch is. If you like it, and I once had a Audemars Piguet. That thing ran beautifully, and so like a watch, and was just too small, and so I didn't hang on to it. I think the tank is the single required watch for a professional woman. So classic and goes with everything. Yeah, the tank is a pretty cool watch. The Cartier tank, yeah. Um, I any ideas for a chronograph option in this collection? You know, the only chronograph, the true chronograph, I have my Monoretra Pont Beauvais, but the only true chronograph I have is a Daniel Roth with a El Primero 400 in it. I think that's the way to get a chronograph. I would buy a watch with a 6498 if I had a bigger wrist. Yeah, that's one thing. You know, Neferon, they're from pocket watches. They were made originally for pocket watches by Unitas, and so I don't know. I This one is a good size. I think this one's 42 millimeters. I'm not positive. But a lot of the bigger ones, this one's 40 millimeters. It wears relatively small though, even though it's a good size. So, what I would suggest if you're thinking of one, Nephron, try one on. If you've already have and found out it doesn't work, that's okay too. Uh, Goldesville, Stephen Seven Masters of Supreme. You're right. Those are good ones. Sven Anderson, Vincent Calabrese. Yeah, if you can get one of those are really, really sweet watches. Taki, I agree. I'm having a web chat with Stefan and Eve Kadoki tomorrow to start my Kadoki too. The missing piece in collection for me has been a relationship with a maker. Yeah, yeah, that I think is really cool. Uh, uh, I have, well, maybe I don't remember whether I met and talked with Stefan Kadoki or not. I may have met him at one of the Watch Time shows, but I'm not positive. Um, I've had a talk with and kept in communication with Marco Lang, and also, oh, hey, I know something interesting. Rolf Lang is starting his own watchmaking school. So if any of you are in Germany and want to become watchmakers, you couldn't get somebody better than him. He used to do a lot of the training for watchmaker training for Longa, and he did some work for H. Moser. He did some more for Tatima. So there's, I mean, there's guys, you know. Of course, then he sort of rebuilt the entire um, museum in Dresden that had been bombed in the war, and had put together all of these mechanical things. This guy's brilliant guy. 41 is only when it wears small. Yeah. Okay, guys. Listen, I got to take off. In fact, I'm late already. Where's a rancher when I need him? Anyway, thank you all for coming today. And thanks, you had a lot of really great examples. And until next time, stay safe, get your shot, wear your mask, do everything you have to do to keep alive during the pandemic.